some funny short stories. The medical testing laboratory story. The phone rings and the lady of the house answers. Hello? Mrs. Ward, please. Speaking. Mrs. Ward, this is Dr. Jones at the medical testing laboratory. When your doctor sent your husband's biopsy to the lab yesterday, a biopsy from another Mr. Ward arrived as well. We are now uncertain which one is your husband's. Frankly, the results are either bad or terrible. What do you mean? Mrs. Ward asked nervously. Well, one of the specimens tested positive for Alzheimer's, and the other one tested positive for gonorrhea. We cannot tell which one's your husband. That's dreadful. Can you not do the test again? Asked Mrs. Ward. Normally we can, but Medicare will only pay for these expensive tests one time. Well, what am I supposed to do now? The people at Medicare recommend that you drop your husband off somewhere in the middle of town. If he finds his way home, do not sleep with him. The story of an 86-year-old man. An 86-year-old man walked into a crowded waiting room and approached the desk. The receptionist said, Yes, sir. Why are you seeing the doctor today? There's something wrong with my penis, he replied. The receptionist became irritated and said, You should not come into this crowded waiting room and say things like that. Why not? You asked me what was wrong and I told you, he said. The receptionist replied, You have caused some embarrassment in this room full of people. You should have said there's something wrong with your ear or something and discussed the problem further with the doctor in private. The man replied, You should not ask people questions in a room full of strangers, if the answer would embarrass anyone. The man walked out, waited several minutes, and then re-entered. The receptionist smiled smugly and said, Yes? There is something wrong with my ear, he stated. The receptionist nodded approvingly and smiled, knowing he had taken her advice. And what's wrong with your ear, sir? She asked. I cannot ejaculate out of it, he replied. The story of an elderly couple. An elderly woman goes to the doctor and asks his help to revive her husband's sex drive. What about trying Viagra? Asked the doctor. Not a chance, says Mrs. Murphy. He won't even take an aspirin for a headache. No problem, replies the doctor. Drop it into his coffee. He won't even taste it. Try it and come back in a week to let me know how you get on. A week later, Mrs. Murphy returns to the doctor, and she inquires as to how things went. Oh, it was just terrible, terrible, doctor. What happened? Asked the doctor. Well, I did as you advised and slipped it in his coffee. The effect was immediate. He jumped straight up, swept the cutlery off the table, at the same time ripping my clothes off, and then proceeded to make mad, passionate love to me on the tabletop. It was terrible. What was terrible? Said the doctor. Was the sex not good? Oh, no, doctor. The sex was the best I've had in 25 years. But I'll never be able to show my face at McDonald's again. The story of the free oranges. Lulu was a prostitute, but she did not want her grandma to know. One day the police raided a whole group of prostitutes at a sex party in a hotel, and Lulu was amongst them. The police took them outside and had all the prostitutes line up along the driveway, when suddenly Lulu's granny came by and saw her granddaughter. Grandma asked, Are you standing in line here, dear? Not willing to let her grandmother know the truth, Lulu told her grandmother that the policemen were passing out free oranges, and she was just lining up for some. Why, that's awfully nice of them. I think I'll get some for myself, Grandma said, and she proceeded to the back of the line. A policeman was going down the line asking for information from all of the prostitutes. When he got to Grandma, he was bewildered and exclaimed, Wow, still going at it at your age. How do you do it? Grandma replied, Oh, it's easy, dear. I just take my dentures out, rip the skin back and suck them dry. The policeman fainted. The story of the beer. A man went into the proctologist's office for his first exam. The doctor told him to have a seat in the examination room and that he would be in just a few minutes. When the man sat down and began observing the tools, he noticed there were 3 items on a stand next to the exam table. A tube of KY jelly, a rubber glove, and a mug of beer. When the doctor finally came in, the man said, Look, Doc, I'm a little confused. This is my first exam. I know what the KY is for, and I know what the glove is for, but can you tell me what the beer's for? At that, the doctor became noticeably outraged and stormed over to the door. The doc flung open the door and yelled, Nurse, I said a butt light. The story of the driver's license. A mother is driving her little girl to her friend's house for a play date. Mummy, the little girl asks, how old are you? Honey, you're not supposed to ask a lady her age, the mother replied. It's not polite. Okay, the little girl says. How much do you weigh? Now really, the mother says, those are personal questions, and they're really none of your business. Undaunted, the little girl asks, why did you and Daddy get a divorce? That's enough questions, young lady, honestly. The exasperated mother walks away as the two friends begin to play. My mum won't tell me anything about her, says the little girl to her friend. Well, says the friend, all you need to do is look at her driver's license. It's like a report card, it has everything on it. Later that night, the little girl says to her mother, I know how old you are, you're 32. The mother is surprised and asked, how did you find that out? I also know that you weigh 130 pounds. The mother is past surprised and shocked now. How in heaven's name did you find that out? And, said the little girl, says triumphantly, I know why you and Daddy got a divorce. Oh, really? The mother asked. Why? Because you got an F in sex. The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe and press the wee bell notification. And a huge big thank you to all my subscribers and patrons. See you next week. Bye bye.